Exactly 4 minutes past the top of the hour. You're right in time for our last conversation this Thursday morning. Our focus centered on savings. We are looking at the savings culture in our country. This is what you're set to converse in the next 40 minutes. And my guests are here to help us understand more about savings, the savings culture, what you can do to just improve and increase on your savings. To my extreme left, that is Akoska, who is the Marketing and Communications Manager at SMEP Bank. Right with him is Claudia Nambuire, Financial, Education and Capacity Development Senior Officer at Dsik. And right next to me, almost next to me, that is Grace Watsiera, Head of Programs at Akoska. Ladies and gentlemen, karibu sana.
Thank you.
And for the context and purpose of this conversation, because those names I was mentioning, I'm so sure viewers are wondering, so what is Dsik, what is Akoska, what is SMEP? That's where I want us to broach this discussion from. Just for the purpose of context in relations to savings, I want you to talk to us about these organizations you're in, the mandate, and how it's related to savings. And perhaps I can begin with you, Ephantas, on that one.
Thank you very much. I represent SMEP Microfinance Bank. It's a microfinance bank that was started back in 1875. Then, as a credit only, but now we have a license by the Central Bank of Kenya to do deposit taking. So we do deposit taking, we give credit, we do open accounts. We just operate like any other bank, but we are a microfinance bank. As I said, we've been in operation since 1975. So we are regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya, and we are also a member of the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation. So that means if you deposit your money with us, your money is insured, your money is safe. Thank you.
This is since 1975 or 85?
75.
75.
Yes.
What about Claudia, Dsik? What is it involved with?
Thank you for the question. Dsik is an abbreviation of a name from a German group, a finance group called German Sparkassen. Basically, it stands for Dutch Sparkassen International Corporation in Eastern Africa. What we basically do, our major role in Eastern Africa is to promote advocacy for sustainability in financial matters through capacity development in financial education. Basically, what we do with our partners, that is, we work in a collaboration with our partners, and Akoska, through business games in the country. That is how we disseminate our financial literacy training. And we also do capacity development where we train staff of banks and microfinance and circles on how to do their business, build capacity within the staff, among the staffs, so that they can have
Claudia, I just want you to hold at that point. We work on your mic and we'll come back to you to explain in detail what exactly Dsik is dealing with. But before we get to that, let me come to you, Grace. You are one of the partners. You're head of programs, Akoska. How is Akoska involved in all this, and this again also in respect to savings?
Okay, thank you so much, Doreen. So Akoska, let me start by that. Akoska is the African Confederation of Cooperatives, Savings and Credit Associations. In short, what they do is it's an umbrella body for national associations across the continent who work and deal mainly with circles. Okay, so credit and savings associations, popularly known as circles in Kenya. We use other terms like credit unions, other parts of the continent. But what we do together with Dsik and AMFI, it's a partnership that has come together primarily to promote financial well-being through the vehicles that we have. So as Akoska, we are also an advocacy arm. So we work very closely with government agencies, not just in Kenya, but across Africa, to ensure that we promote policies, we promote agendas that support financial inclusion. And when we talk about financial inclusion, what we are saying is there should be financial access to all, those who are able and those who are not. And I think that's the critical component that we play in this space.
Well said. And I believe that your mic is good, Claudia. We can revert back with you to just elucidate further on Dsik and largely what it deals with.
As I mentioned earlier, Dsik is part of the big German structured finance group. Basically, our mandate in East Africa, and particularly in Kenya, is to promote advocacy and financial inclusion in education through our partner members, that is AMFI and Akoska. What we majorly do in our country is currently we're implementing financial education programs through what we call business games. It's a very interesting way of learning financial literacy within groups, and also we enhance the capacity of the staff within the institutions so as to empower everyone. When the client is empowered, the institution is also empowered, and that brings across a sustainable economic system. That's what we majorly do.
Well said. I mean, much as it looks like it's different organizations here and there, but you're all coming together with one main goal: financial literacy, financial well-being, to see how, you know, the information can cut across and pass to every Kenyan. But then again, let me pick it up with you, Ephantus. Even just in your interactions, perhaps with Kenyans of whatever walks of life, what has been the Kenyan saving culture? How are we doing?
I would say not very good. Not very good. Not because we do not have money, but majorly because, one, we don't know why we need to save, and two, no one is telling us or giving us a plan or a savings plan. You may find someone has money, but they really don't know how to go about saving. And saving actually is one of the hardest things to do. I've come across people with money, but they don't have any savings, simply because they don't have a plan. So when you tell people that they need to save, you need to first start with the basics of saving. So that's where, as a financial institution, we come in and we do a lot of financial literacy, so that we teach people or talk to people about saving. Why do we need to save? Yeah, I have money, but why do I need to save? You'll find people, for example, complaining in January that they do not have money for school fees. Yet in December, they had all the money to do everything they wanted.
Like now we've begun doing everything we want to do. We're
Exactly.
almost heading to December.
Yes, but let's come to January then. People will be crying, we don't have school fees. But where is the money that was there in December? Simply because no one has been teaching them that they need to save first and why they need to save. So our culture is not very good. Our savings culture is not very good. But we appreciate that, because that's where then as a bank we come in and tell you, we are sorted. We have products for you. We give you reasons why to save. We give you a savings plan, and we ensure that by the end of the journey, you are already saving. When the president was saying that we need to cultivate a saving culture, I was smiling, because as MEP, we already did that. We have a lot of customers we have brought on board simply because we have given them a saving solution. So as Kenyans, we don't have, our culture is not very good, but at least that's somewhere we have started on. That's something we have started on, and we are doing very well. And I hope, as the president said, probably within the next 5 years, we will have a lot of people knowing how to save and why to save, because those are the two major, I would think, would be the start of this saving culture. Yes.
Well said, and we'll come to those products momentarily. But then, don't you think this is a bit of a contradictory when you talk about Kenyans don't really know how to save, so to speak? We are reeling with a high cost of living currently. Just the other day, the president talked about, you'll have to perhaps give me a year before even the price of unga can come down from 200. So then, how do you reconcile that?
It's all about budgeting, because when you get a salary, for example, you usually pay for 1, 2, 3. You pay for your shopping, you pay for your rent, you pay maybe 10% of your tithe, you pay the tithe 10%, you pay your debts, but do you save? So even with the high cost of living, it doesn't mean that you cannot save. You will still be able to save. However, as I am saying, you need to budget for that. Ideally, you should save 20% of your earnings or of your income. At least 20% of your income should go to savings. So it doesn't matter how much you are earning. You need to start somewhere. Because yes, we have the high cost of living. That one I agree. But how then do you survive for tomorrow? How do you take your children to school tomorrow if you're not saving? How do you, for instance, purchase a plot where you need to build if you're not saving? Chances are you will go for a loan for all these things, and if you go for a loan, it will get you deeper into debt. So regardless of how much you are earning, you must start saving. You must start saving, because I usually tell people, if you have savings and you go to a bank or you come to SMEP and you want a loan, if you have your own savings, if you have something like a piece of land that is going for, let's say, 1 million shillings, and you have already saved 500 shillings, so you just need half of that money. So it means your loan obligations will be lesser, as opposed to when you come to the bank and you want the full 1 million shillings. So you must budget regardless of the amount of money that you are earning. And as I said, 20% goes to savings. Then the rest follows. So at least you have 30% to do, because if you do 20% savings and you give 10% as tithe, the 70% will sort itself.
Is the practicability and the planning of it that I'll come to you in just to explain to that how that could be possible.
Okay.
But coming to you, Grace, you largely deal with corporates. And this again is still in respect to savings, and Fantas has well talked about the aspect of priority. So then one would ask, if you're focused on the corporates, where does it leave the common mwananchi, the bottom up, the mama mboga, the boda boda? Who is talking to them about, this savings culture?
Okay, so Doreen, if I could put that into context,
yes.
Our main mandate actually is for us to bring up institutions and organizations that support exactly what Fantas is saying.
All right.
And we are looking at the whole spectrum. When we're talking about the Kenyan culture of savings being poor, it's for us to say, how do we then enhance this saving culture that we are looking for? And to borrow from some of the developed countries where saving is something that is trained even at a very rudimentary level in school. It's actually a habit that is created over time. If we take an example of an athlete, if you ask Usain Bolt, for instance, if he knew he would ever break his world record, probably 5-10 years ago he would. But it's that constant practice that he has gained over time.
Sure.
Similar to savings, it's something that we inculcate through institutions. And at this moment, I would like just to mention the SACCO, for example, as a vehicle that supports and influences people to save, no matter how small. And I also just want to agree with him to say, you do not save because of what extra you have. You save as part of, your financial management process. And savings helps you create wealth over time. And why I am so sold out in the SACCO model is because savings is prioritized as part of how you enhance your wealth. As opposed to other financial institutions where sometimes credit facilities are readily available. What SACCOs promote is, save fast, and then from these savings you can borrow. What that essentially means is that you're growing both your asset and you're growing your liability at the same time. Evidently, over time, you'll be able to invest and become a person who would easily say that is in a better financial status. Okay, the youth today are really enticed with a lot of ready credit that is available, which if you look at the trends, it might not be sending the right signal. You might find that the youth are getting into debt quickly without understanding the concept of create and build savings, create and build wealth over time. Then now you can improve your assets by getting into, ventures like credit, accessing credit facility or borrowing. Which I know is something that my colleagues would also want to touch on. But indeed, the idea is, how do we enhance that culture of savings? Well
said. And you so much touched on the SACCOs, even as you talked about that. But then we'll come to look at other institutions where we can also be putting our money for savings. But then, Claudia, even in your practice, what are some of those challenges that you've come across that hinder the saving culture? I know you've talked about cost of living, but we can't keep complaining about the challenges. And also, as you respond to the challenges, how do we move past them?
Thank you, Doreen. There are so many reasons that could prevent one from saving, and most of them are intrinsic. Like say for example, in the current state and when there is a lot of mobile lending and very easy loan acquisition, I don't have to go and fill a form somewhere to apply for a loan, have a collateral. So the fact that I have access to a credit facility on my phone, I will just pick. I feel like I want 500 shillings from here to somewhere else. I just pick. I'll not even first plan and budget about it. Another aspect that makes people find it very hard to save is living with beyond your means. You wake up, you see Doreen in a blue dress and you're wondering, I think I want a blue dress. You don't have money for the blue dress. You go take a loan, or whatever money you will have saved or done something else, you divert it to what somebody else has.
Is this like panic buying?
It's not really panic buying. Panic buying would be where you...
pressure buying.
Yes, there's pressure, peer pressure.
Okay.
You pick something that maybe at that moment you don't even need it completely, but because you see someone has it, it makes you want to be like them. You want to live the life they're living. You want to live in this estate while you cannot afford that amount, maybe to be there. Another reason that will make someone have a challenge in saving is multi-borrowing. Yes, I could need a loan today to do a project, but why should I take a loan from Ephantas, from Grace, from Doreen, from so and so? This only means that I have a vicious circle that is unending. I have to borrow from one person to pay the other person, so that my name is clean. The next time I work the same person.
Which is the current culture.
Yes, and eventually you find that you will not be able to save anything, because if your circle is borrowing, you will live in borrowing and you will never save. So those are some of the things that make it very, very hard. And as my colleague said, Ephantas, if you don't have a budget, you cannot save. I am sure, I'm very certain, because even if you're earning 100 million today, for example, and what comes on your way, you want to pick it, you will not. Savings is not something that it's not automatic. It's a culture you have to build and develop on your own as a discipline. So if you want to save, you ought to learn how to budget. That when I'll get my money next month or at the end of the month, I want to make 10% tithe. I want to make 20% savings. I want, so that when the money comes in, you're able to allocate the money as you had planned. Without that, then you will find everything to buy, because you will never have enough to spend, but you can have something to save for yourself.
Okay.
Maybe if I could just chip into what Nabure has said here as well. The other thing that I find peculiar is the fact that we all believe that I just don't have enough to save. We are poor, I just don't have enough to save. And I'm reminded of an experience I had recently. I happened to try to climb the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro 2 weeks ago, and I was surprised that at 3,000 meters above sea level, there are people who are living there, above the clouds. It's an experience that I didn't know. And because we had people from different cultures where their temperatures on a daily basis are between -10 to 0 degrees on a daily basis, and they're living, and they're like, oh, there's so much land in Tanzania, we could build houses here. I just want to refer back to the mentality where we feel that we just don't have enough. But when somebody else looks at it at a different perspective, there's too much land for all of us. Yeah. So it's a mentality to say that with my little income, I do not have enough. I think it starts with the mindset to say, even with the little, I still have something to set aside.
So it's more like attitude that needs to shift.
Attitude, absolutely.
All right, I hear you, and I can see all of you agreeing on that one. Yeah. But also, you've largely talked about budgeting, and I want to come on you, come to you, Ephantas, on this one, because you also touched on it. So let's take a classical example of let's speak like 30,000. This is a Kenyan earning 30,000. You've talked about the 10% tithe. You've talked about 20% needs to go in saving. This Kenyan says he or she needs to pay school fees. They need to pay this debt. So when someone comes to you and need this aspect of budgeting, what is the easy guide through that you give? And looking at that amount, how do you go about it?
Well, there are various options around it. One, if you're earning 30,000, probably you are not living in Kilimani, because 30,000 cannot sustain you in Kilimani. Yeah. So one, you have to live within your means. But that is actually a question that we asked ourselves. We came up with a savings product. So we asked ourselves, how do we get people who are at the bottom of the pyramid to save, because they really want to save. But if you tell them to save 20% of 30,000, which is 6,000, it might seem like a lot of money. So we juggled our minds around it. So that's why I'm saying we have various options. There's something we came up with called the 52-week saving challenge. The 52-week saving challenge allows you to save weekly, but small amounts. Weekly, but small amounts. So that by the end of the 52 weeks, which is 1 year, you will have saved a lot of money easily. Now, if you're earning 30,000, I would believe if you have a target of your savings, it would be anything between 50,000 and 100,000 at the end of the year. So we tell you, instead of saving a lot of money monthly, and then at the beginning, at the remainder of the month, you suffer because you don't have enough money. You save just a little. So if you're earning 30,000, we tell you a month, the first week of January, for example, just save 50 shillings. Then the second week, you double that 50, you save 100. And the third week, you save 150. So you are increasing the amount that you are saving per week by 50 shillings only. Do you know how much money you have by the end of the year? You will have saved 68,900 shillings.
Just by saving 50?
50.
From 50 as you increase?
Yes, as you increase. 68,900. Now, it looks impossible. Actually, even we also doubted when we said, will people be able to save this way? But by the end of the year, so many people had saved. And many people had saved because they wanted to see whether they can save. By then, the highest customer saved around 137,000 in the first year. But over time, because people appreciated that there is a way they can save without having to struggle, just kidogo kidogo, slowly, slow but sure. Now we have people who are saving up to 300, 400, 5,000 at the end of every year. And of course, as an institution, we say, because you have saved and it's not a loan, we give you a small interest of 7%. So what am I saying? If you really want to save, if you really change your attitude and say, I must save, options are available. When we started that challenge, there are people who came to us and said, we have 3 options. You can start with 25 shillings, or 50 shillings, or 100 shillings, which at the end of the year will give you different options. But we said, people said, you are locking me to a particular ending. I want to lock myself to a particular ending. Is that possible? And we included that option too. So that you can be able to say, by the end of 3 months, or 6 months, or 9 months, or even 12 months, I want to save this particular amount. So we tell you then, this is what you need to save per week or per month for you to achieve that. So all these options are available. So even if you're earning even 25,000 shillings, or even 20, when you change your attitude, it doesn't matter how much you are earning, you will save. And at the end of the day, you will achieve your goal. Because one of the other things that people ask or people struggle with is, okay, and that's why they don't save. Why am I saving?
For what purpose?
For what purpose?
Assuming also this someone who has already built their houses,
yes,
for instance, bought cars, taken children to school. Yes. Why are they saving? Or on the bottom, someone who thinks that I have a lot to do, so then why am I saving?
There are a lot of reasons. Assuming I've achieved everything in life.
Yes.
Tomorrow you might die. And you don't know who will take care of your family when you are gone. This is like a fallback plan. If my plan A does not work, there's always a plan B. If tomorrow we are told there is an earthquake and everything that you have disappears, you have a fallback plan of your savings, as opposed to someone who has not saved anything, and then you lose everything that you have. You know you are going to start down there. Someone was making fun of me last year. Kaniuliza, do you have personal accident cover, or you do have insurance. We are missing. How do you walk around the streets without insurance? You might go, and if you go, your family will suffer. So it is always good to have a reason why to save, and you cannot lack a reason to save. Having a lot of money is not a reason, or having achieved what you wanted in life is not a reason not to save, because you don't know tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well said. And so then, Claudia, here we are. We've already established how we can budget, how we can plan. We already have an understanding that it's good to give that 10%, 20%. If you can't do 20%, you can do the 50-50, as how Ephantus was explaining. But then how do you, over time, increase on your savings? What measures or ways do you need to employ to do that?
One easy way of increasing your savings is starting from where you are. That is the primary, it's like the end goal. Just start from where you are. If you're earning, say for example, 20,000 shillings today, and you decide I'll be saving 2,000, just 2,000. Next time, the fact that you achieved this 2,000 saving this time round will motivate you to save, even if it's 2,050 shillings next month. So long as you start with on the first step, you'll always have a way of increasing your savings. Another very easy way of increasing your savings is reduce or just stop impulse buying. You wake up today, you hear there is something on the streets, you want to buy these fluffy sandals that ladies walk with even during the muddy season. Just stop impulse buying. And some of the very easy ways to reduce some of this buying that are not very disciplined is look at the end game. How much am I losing when I'm buying this thing? I used to make a very simple example a while back when I was doing financial education somewhere, that if you are this person who says, I really love eating roasted maize in the evening as I go home, and every day you are picking a piece of maize at 20 shillings, 20 shillings every day. Today you're eating 20 shillings piece of maize, but again you're going home to still eat supper or dinner or ugali or whatever. If you're eating 20 shillings every day on the road, just as a way of stretching to your place, how much is it you're using every year? You take 20 shillings, multiply by maybe 365 days, that's around 7,000 shillings. That is a whole maize, or even two. If you decide that I will just stop this habit and start saving this little money, then you will always increase on your savings. If you're able to go to the marketplace and buy things in bulk, you will really save a lot. Because if you're this lazy person who you want lunch, you call them, I don't know what they're called, these Uber or Uber Bites, whatever. The more you keep on buying from the retail, there is an element of the prices being higher, because this person is also capitalizing on making their profits. So if you are able to go to a place and buy things in bulk, it will really save you, one, the prices will be cheaper. Number two, it will save you time, so that this time you can invest in something else. Number three, you are able to pick everything you need at a go. But if you went to maybe the estate kiosk, you will buy milk. You will go in the house, remember you don't have fuel, you go back and buy fuel. But if you are in a wholesale place, you can easily pick everything at once and save a lot, and you can always compare prices. It's no harm comparing price. There's no even harm. Like Kenyans, typical Kenyans, we bargain as much as you can, save something. And the money you are saving, you're saving from the purchase, put it somewhere. Don't transfer it to buying something else. Make sure that you save it.
You want to jump in on that one?
Yes. I actually worked with someone, as she was saying. One of my friends has a business, and always complaining, I'm not able to save. So I went to a business and just say that, how he conducts the business. So I told him, I want you to do this. I can see you are writing everything that you are selling down. But are you writing everything that you are consuming? Anything that is passing, samosa, mayai, uji, are you writing it down? So I want you from today, anything that you buy out of your budget, just write it down. And then I'll come at the end of the month. And he did that very well. And at the end of the month, when I went back, we realized that he was using over 20,000 on small things. Hizo vitu tu zikipita, unanunua jumper inapita, you buy. A nice shoe, you buy. So by the end of the month, 20,000 going just like that, and something that you don't need. So I ask you now, if you convert this consumption, this money that you are consuming, into savings, you have a lot of money by the end of the day. Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's,
impulse buying,
it's a no-no.
it's a no-go zone.
Maybe just to add on that again, one way of increasing your savings is find a safe place to save. Because if you could save this money that you are avoiding the impulse buying, but if you take the money in the house, you will do something with the money. So make sure that at least you make sure that you could be in a chama, you save your money in a bank, you could have the mobile apps that have a savings option. Make sure that your money is placed somewhere that is safe so that you see the value, see it growing.
Okay.
Yes.
Find a best place to save, Grace. You have touched on SACCOs so much, and I can tell you for sure, good number of Kenyans are really heading towards SACCOs when it comes to saving. I think also because of the low interest rates and quick and access of loans on that particular platform. But then what are really the benefits of SACCOs that you largely deal with?
Okay, some you've already alluded to, Doreen. SACCOs offer a platform, first of all, to save, because that's the foundation. And if the public will not be taught anywhere else how to save, the SACCO will, because that is how you even actually gain membership, by you starting to save, no matter how little the amount is. But then the model is different in such a way that the moment you join a SACCO and you start saving and you own even a single share, you automatically become a shareholder. That's different from the model that other financial institutions have, where there is just a specific number of shareholders. What does it do to you once you're a shareholder in the SACCO? At the end of the year, you also are a beneficiary of what we call dividends. That is the surplus that comes through after the business of the day. So you are growing your wealth even as you're saving. The next thing that will happen is that then you will also be able to access credit at very affordable rates. And that goes a long way in building what we are now calling, wealth. People think that when I'm saving, I'm throwing away that money. It's actually still yours. The money is still yours. You probably use it more meaningfully because you've thought about it, and it's a thought process that you have. You're probably planning to invest and even create generational wealth for those that are coming after you. The other thing that SACCOs do very well is work with partners like Dsik, for example. And through these projects, we offer, financial literacy almost for free for many of our members. So you find that somebody is becoming very aware, for instance, of some of those predatory kind of behaviors that you'll find in the market, that there's ready financing, but should I really take it? With financial literacy, you make the kind of choices that you should have that will enhance you being a financial, having a financial sustainable kind of plan to grow you and to grow your family in the future. And today they've introduced so many products that you graduate with as you go along. You will start as a saver. Soon you'll probably want to buy a house. You'll be able to buy a house with the SACCO. You maybe want to invest further in your business. You will be able to do that. And we are helping them walk this journey. I think when you look at the model in general, what you are saying is, again, savings is not just for those that would consider low income. We encourage people with decent incomes also to save. What does that do? At the end of the day, in this life cycle, I will want to borrow, and I will want to borrow a substantial amount. If we have all of us putting our funds together and aggregating these resources, me who has a small income, I can go, even with my little savings, to borrow because somebody else who had more has put in equally. So there's this thing we say, people helping people. I think SACCOs as a vehicle of financial wellness is promoting that.
And I mean, this is one of those conversations that I would have loved us for us to continue having, and just to get a good amount of time for this. But I can already hear my director saying we are pitched for time. We just only have 2 minutes to conclude on this one. I think we should do this again, but just for the purpose of time. I want to get your headline thoughts very quickly, and I want to start with you, Claudia. In respect to savings, what should Kenyans know?
My parting shot will be this: savings is not hard if you start today. you save today, you're investing in a better tomorrow. Just start saving today. However little, however small you start from somewhere and do it. It's possible. It's doable.
Start saving today. Ephantas, what should Kenyans know?
I think they should know it is easy, it is possible. Banks actually, including SMEP, have made it possible for you to have access to a savings channel without necessarily going to the bank. We have made savings interesting. We have introduced incentives, like I was saying, the interest. We have ensured, all the banks have ensured that all the fees related to savings, they are done away with, just to make the journey easy for you. Once you are ready, once you start,
I hear you.
Yes.
And I won't give you the last word. Sorry for that. We'll get some other time. Nonetheless, I have been speaking to Ephantas Kagia to my extreme left, a marketing and communications manager at SMEP Bank. Right next to him is Claudia Nambuire, Financial Education and Capacity Development Senior Officer, Dsik. And to my immediate left is Grace Watsiera, Head of Programs, Akoska. Promoting saving culture has been the center of our conversation. Good place to end it. Thank you so much for making time. I'm Doreen Arange Okello. Till next week, good morning.
Thank you. Thank you, Doreen.